Welcome to Living with Ulcerative Colitis. I'm Maya, and today's video is on colonoscopies, or the procedure of a colonoscopy. So what is a colonoscopy? A colonoscopy is when your gastrointestinologist or doctor feeds a catheter attached to a camera attached to a catheter through your colon, and while it's there, it takes pictures to determine if there are issues or just general maintenance if you have a disease that colonoscopies are common for. One of the things that the doctor can do while the colonoscopy is in progress is they can give medications, remove blockages, and then they can treat problems with laser therapy. But also, while they're there, they can find problems. For me, I've had 2 colonoscopies, so I'm going to tell you guys about my second colonoscopy, which was the one that I needed to do to leave the hospital. For my colonoscopy, I was in the hospital, so it wasn't me needing to go to the hospital or do any prep work, but I'm going to talk about it nonetheless. So going into a colonoscopy, the days before, you go on a low fiber diet, and this is so that the colon can be clear so that the camera can scope and see things inside of the colon. And then the day before you go into the hospital, that day you go on a liquid diet or you go completely NPO. So when my nurse told me that I was going to be NPO, which means no food by mouth, no, the letters don't actually coincide. So no food by mouth, I naturally started watching Food Network. And in the hospital, the nurses and doctors joke about this because they have no idea why people that are not able to eat anything like to watch Food Network. But I did. I watched a lot of it because it was like nice to see other people enjoying food. And my nurse brought this medicine, and it is a liquid laxative, and that is to do a final clean out of your colon. Problem is, this drink is not very great. It's kind of nasty, and it also was given to me hot. So I asked my nurse for some ice, which I suggest you never ever do, because by the time I finished, I got to drinking it, the ice had melted, and what was like a cup of medicine turned into 2.5 cups of just very nasty liquid. And my nurse told me that I had to drink 2/3 of it because I had to get as much as the dose as possible. And I have to say, that was a lot of nasty liquid. So before my procedure, those were the things that have to happen. And if you're at home, you're generally given it and you're told that don't eat any food, don't eat dinner. And then when you wake up in the morning, don't eat breakfast, and then usually your procedure happens in the early morning. And this is so, again, that your colon is clear and the doctor is able to scope. So for colonoscopies, that can happen to treat different diseases and conditions. For me, I, again, have ulcerative colitis, but it can also be used for Crohn's, digestive autoimmune disorders. And so that is what happens before. So what happens during? Okay, so what happens on the day of the appointment? You usually bring a person with you because you will go under some form of anesthesia. For me, I was completely out, but you can also go under general, which will give you a loss of consciousness as if you're sleeping, but you won't be fully under. For me, I was completely under for both of my colonoscopies. And your doctor will hook you to, before you go under anesthesia, you'll be hooked to an IV line, and it will give you sedatives and pain medications. So it is not supposed to be a painful procedure, and even if your doctor does do some form of laser therapy, you might have a little gas pain and a little bit of pressure, but it should not hurt. So what happens during the procedure, the colonoscopy scope, is a small lighted camera that is attached to a long, thin, flexible tube, which is called a catheter. And the provider will insert the catheter through your anus, and it will slowly go towards the end of your colon. This takes 15 minutes there and 15 minutes back. But if there is anything that your doctor wants to check on, it might take longer. So it can take up to 2 hours for the entire procedure, like sedated and to the end. So if you have a person that is waiting with you, give them a wait about 2 hours. While it is advancing, the catheter pumps air so that the camera can go through, and then your provider or your doctor just watches for anything abnormal. And then they take the catheter back the same way so that they can see your colon again. And so afterwards, you will be watched by a nurse or a care provider to make sure that you're okay while you're recovering from being put under, and they'll ask you if you're experiencing any pain, and in this moment you can tell the care provider if something went wrong, or you don't feel so well, and then this is so that you're still in the hospital and they can help you. Also, in this moment, your family or whoever came with you can sit with you. You're not gonna really be in it, like you're gonna be really out of it. I was just like not even fully there. Yeah, so my sister, she did that thing that you do to small children, and she said, "I got your nose," and I genuinely believed my nose was gone, so I was like completely freaking out. So like, you're not fully there, okay? You're not fully there. But your family can be there to make sure that you're okay. And again, this is a very routine type of procedure. So after you are out of the care room, don't really know what the name of that is called, but your doctor will then give you the results. And that can be immediate, or if they did some form of biopsy, it can take a couple of days. But for me, all of my results were immediate, because for me, for colonoscopy for UC, they're checking for inflammation on the walls of the colon. So they know that during. So afterwards, it was like a quick procedure to tell me if I had inflammation or if it had worsened. I had a doctor that I asked a plethora of questions, which is kind of the basis of this channel, because I talked their heads off. And so I knew everything that was going to happen before it happened, because I asked any question under the sun. And luckily they didn't mind. I love answering your guys' questions. So I hope this video was helpful and interesting and maybe a little funny. So I hope you guys have a good weekend, and happy Valentine's Day. Bye guys!